How about considering a Leatherman if you have arthritis? Leatherman Wave. This is the Wave Plus. This is the accessory clip, pocket clip you can put on it. They don't have it in the black. This has a black oxide coloration. I'll explain more about that later, but in another video. But I just wanted to show people what I find. I have arthritis. The ability to have a knife, you know, I keep it on my belt. I can open it one hand. I can close it with one hand. I find that very handy. Also, if I turn it over, and there's some small jimping here, a rough area, but that's one reason I keep the clip on it. I can tell which side is which. So I've got it in my hand, so the clip is up. Then I have the serrated blade, which is better for cutting through rope, string, and things like that. So it definitely has uses, but it's really nice to have both blades, you know, a regular straight blade and the serrated blade. And also, which aren't really things you can open with one hand, you have a saw. You also have a file, and it has both a diamond size for like sharpening something, this metal, and then a regular rasp type file. And the thing that's really good for this from a safety point of view is all these tools lock. So you have to press down to have it close back in. You know, when you're working with something, you know, a blade, you want it to have a positive lock, because typically your hand's going to be here, and without a lock, there is a possibility that this will fold back on your hand and cut you. Especially if you're doing something where you're kind of stabbing a little. You know, if you were, say, you had a big cardboard box and you were cutting a hole in it, and you might jab it in first. Well, with something that doesn't lock, there would be a possibility that it could fold back on your hands. And we definitely don't want that. So there's tools inside also. And I just want to mention a couple. This has, and again, these lock. You have this little mechanism. You press here, right here, and then you can put it back in the tool. But this is a can opener, but I also find it handy for opening jars. In other words, you have a jar with a vacuum seal. You kind of can put this between the where the jar starts to be covered by the cap, and move it in there and kind of pry it out a little and break the seal. Once you've broken the seal, the jar will open easily. So that's something I find I use a lot in the kitchen even. Then we've got this little pair of scissors as well, and that can be handy too. And then we also have some other tools. We've got a straight screwdriver. We have an eyeglass screwdriver, which this piece comes out, so it's either a flat or a Phillips, which you do find on glasses. So I've used that more than a few times. And the other side, besides having the can opener, and they have multiple functions for these, but here's a kind of flattish Phillips screwdriver. And you can pull it out and turn it around, and then you have the straight edge screwdriver. I usually keep it this way because if I'm doing a screw, I've got the flat one over here. So I keep that in that orientation anyway. So anyway, I think if you have arthritis, this could be a very handy tool to have because of the one-handed opening. And generally, I close it with 2 hands. I don't fumble with it like this. I would just come in like this and fold it like that easily. But I do know sometimes I'll be in the kitchen. I've got a bag that I, because of poor strength of my hand and arthritis, I can't rip it open. Well, this comes right out and shoot, makes very quick work about that. So think of that. The things that I think would be important if you have arthritis or weakness in your hands is these 2 items. It has to lock. Okay? See, it's locked now. And I think it should have to have one hand opening, which again, with this, that's why that space is there. You stick your thumb kind of in it, and then you can pull it out easily. But having a blade that is only needs one hand to deploy, I think is important, and having this locking mechanism. And the Leatherman Wave Plus has it. And 2, this might be a little larger than what some people might want if they're just using it around the house or something, but I like it because it can be used for other things too. And this, to me, at least for me, having these pliers with the cutter and everything in them, that's a big advantage. So that's one of the reasons why I like this tool being a little larger than, say, they make all kinds of different versions of things, but I would say you want to go for the one-handed opening and the locking blade at least, and maybe you can decide if you want one smaller or than this. They have some larger too, of course. But right at this moment, Leatherman is having like a $25 off sale or something like that. So anyway, I hadn't had a black before. I lost my silver one. So I got the black for the same price of what the silver would be. Now, I think I do have to mention, for people with poor eyesight, having an all-black tool and accessing some of the things inside of it, you're probably not going to see that as well as you hoped. So if you do have some type of vision problem, or you're in low light a lot, I would definitely recommend you get the silver instead of the black.